All right, dude. Well, it's good to get back on here with you one-on-one. We did a together episode. We've interviewed a couple people together. We've done a couple interviews solo. What are you thinking so far?
I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think that the people we're bringing in is an awesome mix of different businesses and having your eyes opened up to you know people's perspectives and everybody's at different stages of business, and I just think it's fun to not only meet new people but also just kind of open up your head to what people got going on in the capital region. You know.
Yeah, I definitely have liked the part, like a couple of the people that you've interviewed and brought to the show. Like I didn't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd heard of them, but I certainly didn't know them. And now I've had a chance to connect with them on Facebook and LinkedIn or whatever, and following some of the work they do. And I just from a very kind of personal experience, I felt like the show so far has been what I was hoping it would be, was like a way to connect with people that you may not know as well, and that seems to be working.
I think the fun, like for yesterday's episode, which we haven't run it through yet, but I think that one's going to be one that people are going to be wicked psyched. The one with Derek there. Here's a kid that I went to high school with him, right? I go to CBA with him, right? He's a year ahead of me. Before we jump on the call, he's like, "Nice to meet you." I'm like, "Nah, we actually went to school together." He's like, "Holy, completely didn't know because we weren't connected back then." But to fast forward 20 years later, to understand what that kid's doing right now is like, I think people are gonna be really interested in hearing what he's got going on. Like that's
Yeah, I think what's wild is, I don't know how to say this the right way, but like we get so caught up in our own lives that it's really, we don't like take time to think like, I wonder what that person is doing,
oh
or I wonder
yeah,
how that person operates. And then, just hearing like, your interview with Kate from Galway Winery,
yeah,
comparing her to Mike Altieri, comparing to like Derek DeMaio we had yesterday, just the different ways that they approach business, think about business, the struggles, their day-to-day lives, the paths to get to where they are in this moment. Like there's just so many different ways to operate a business, to be
yeah.
involved. It makes you think, and it definitely, there's definitely been some things that people have said where I've like taken a step back and said to myself like, geez, maybe I need to think about that particular item a little differently.
I hope that again, when we came up with this, it was kind of like, all right, let's make connections and let's just see how this thing goes. At least for me, I didn't really we kind of jumped into it, right? So, and I think the interesting thing, I had an idea what it was going to be, but I'm getting a lot more out of it than I thought, and I hope other people are. But I don't know, because again, we're obviously growing it, and we're working our way through. So the feedback's been really good for the people we've had on. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I think we've had some tremendous conversations. People seem to enjoy the format. We've had some people who've done a lot of interviews on podcasts. We've done some people who don't do a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a right or wrong, a better or worse. It's just different and interesting.
Yeah. So my point with going there was I don't think we have a general feedback from the community yet, or we're kind of growing with that. But and as we add more followers and add more people who know what we're doing, and the awareness is out there, I hope that they're getting out of this as much as we do. I mean, for instance, Derek yesterday, the fact that he jumped on this thing, think about the other people he could be talking. Like he was on what was the other podcast or the other webcast he was
It
on?
was like the biggest Amazon seller podcast in the world or something.
And we get him on yesterday for an hour, and we're just rapping about different. My point is, that's a guy that he has value to bring to a small market like Albany. And I don't care who you are or what you're doing, but there's takeaways from that guy's message. And I mean, everybody on the show has been great. And everybody has something different to offer, but specifically just, maybe it's just because it was fresh because we did it yesterday, but to me, that was like, that was a solid interview.
Yeah, I think too, again, these aren't the easiest times to operate. People are having a lot of different emotions. One of the things that I really liked about Derek's episode in particular, and I don't mean to beat him up or put him above anyone else, because that's not the point, but
Right.
he approached the conversation with an energy that is probably just who he is, but he brought an energy that was infectious. Like, I was kind of jacked up the rest of the day. It was a really fun conversation. The two of us hadn't interviewed someone together in a while, so that was fun.
Right.
And on a side note, having not ever practiced interviewing people, having the two of us interview a singular person, I feel like we're doing like a decent job of going back and forth with that. There's not like a ton of weird pauses or whatever. So yeah, I think, I'm hoping what the listeners are taking from it is just the energy and the expertise and experience that exists in our community. And maybe there's some pockets of that we just, you just would never be exposed to if there wasn't a platform like this.
I go back to the, thought or statement that it's just all good. Like, the more we do these, the more info we're going to get, the more, people we're going to meet and hear about and kind of introduce them to other people that they may not have otherwise met. I mean, back to your point a couple minutes ago, like, you're talking with people you wouldn't run into on a daily basis. And hey, here it is on a silver platter for 20 minutes or 40 minutes, however long the interview goes. Here's just a kind of a quick intro to what these people are about. And then from there, and actually that's a side note, right? If you're listening to this, there's nothing better than if you do a podcast with somebody like this, or you do a training seminar or whatever. If somebody's giving you some type of value, like, to send those guys a note or a message or you follow them and say, hey, I just heard you on this, or like, think of how you're going to make somebody's day, right? And that's a total side note. But if there's people that we're interviewing that, for the listeners that are going to hear this, that you guys make a connection with, send a note to that guy. There's nothing like getting that message or note if you're that person. I've done it myself. I've sent text message to the guys in California, Michigan, like, hey, you don't know who I am, but I just heard your thing, and I just want to let you know that resonated, yada, yada. That's just good business, man.
Yeah, you're putting so much good karma out into the world. And the other thing too is you find business deals in the strangest places. Like, I'm a firm believer in serendipity. And what I mean by that is, if you're unfamiliar with that term, is like just random stuff that you could have never predicted that comes to you because you put goodness out into the world, right? So my belief is, if you take one of these business professionals, and I'm doing this with my hand because I'm looking at our podcast episodes here, but one of the professionals we've interviewed, you take and you give them some time to talk about what they do and their experience and their expertise and how they help people, and you share that with the world. And it doesn't cost, we're not charging these people, you know what I mean? Like, this is like just a free way to connect. Like, you're helping them in some way do good business. Like, that can't help but come back to you. And I think the same thing goes with sending thank you notes, or just, you see someone post something, send them a little DM that just says, hey man, like, glad you're fighting that fight, or that stuff. It's like rocket fuel for people. You know what I mean? It's like rocket fuel when you get those random notes of support or whatever. And
especially if you're having
yeah,
not so productive day or whatever,
Yeah. And I think now more than ever, that seems, I think people need that stuff. And, it's really easy to be negative. I think it's much harder to be positive. But positivity goes so far. It is so much, there's so much constructive things that can come out of being positive and being supportive, that it just, there's no case against it,
Yeah.
You have extra time today. I mean, that's the thing too. We all have a little extra time. I mean, You know, if you're not commuting, even if you're still got to work all day,
Right.
but you don't have that 15-minute commute, make your goal. I'm going to send one text message to somebody and tell them something good when I would have been in the car for 15 minutes. Just that one single thing. You do that in the morning and at night, 2 text messages a day, and you just watch what happens. I mean,
I've been doing a lot of bomb messages to people, just like randomly. I'm in their neighborhood, or I had a deal up in Clifton Park close, and my buddy's mom was walking down the street, and we were talking. I stopped her, said hello, and then she mentioned this other neighbor that we had sold the house for like 2 years before, and I haven't talked to them. They're down in Daytona Beach, actually, and I just sent them a quick message like, "Hey, just thought, I hope all's well. Like, hope you guys are good and healthy." And she sends me a text message like, "Oh, that made my day." And like, that's to get that back, it's like I'm not even trying for that. I just want to let you know, like, literally, I was just thinking of you, but just that little touch, like you're saying, is just goes a long way.
See, I think that speaks to before we started recording, you said something about a guy that you follow. What's his name? Sharon
Shiraza.
Yeah. So Mike's always talking about this guy, Sharon Shiraza.
Srivatsa. Srivatsa. Srivatsa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough name to say. But on Instagram, you turn me on to him, and now I don't watch him as much as you do, but I do pick, whenever I see it, I watch him, and he's awesome. He's motivational. And you were saying, and I'd love for you to talk about this a little bit. He was saying right now, more than ever, like, don't chase leads, just build brand. Like, don't, work the people you have, build connections, build brand. And, I think just hearing you talk about that bomb story, what comes to my mind is like, there's a lot of people that wouldn't do that because they'd say, well, geez, I already sold that person a house. Like, what am I going to get out of that? Like, I gotta bomb someone who I can sell something to. And I understand that mentality. We talked about before how you get a little crazy when there's urgency in your life, but, that message to that woman and letting her know that you're just thinking about her, sometime in the future, that's going to come back to you in some way. And if it's nothing more than her just randomly sending you a message saying, "Hey, I was thinking about you. Hope you're doing well." And it pumps your day up.
Again, I think you get more when you get a message back from these people. I think that you get more out of that. It's like, whatever. It's like helping out at the food pantry or whatever,
Yeah.
That you get back from that more than you even expect just by connecting with them or doing that, good deed or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So, I think I wanted to jump on here because every once in a while I want to make sure that you and I are spending a little bit of time on the show talking just one-on-one versus the interview stuff.
Yeah.
I want to take a quick moment while people are listening to this to say, if you are not subscribed, please do. It's the best way to get new episodes.
Yeah.
Like the Facebook page, that's great. But we do send out an email every time we post a new episode. You can go to capitalregionbusiness.com. Subscribe by email. There's no spam, no sales stuff. I just put together a link for you to listen to the episodes. And once we start going out on YouTube, which is going to be soon, I'll post a link to the video as well when new episodes comes out. So it's just notification about new episodes. So you just pop your email in there, capitalregionbusiness.com. Subscribe wherever you listen. That way you get the new episodes. So we can continue to grow the audience. And then, I also just want to say just real quickly, if you or someone you think would be a great guest, like reach out to us, reach out to Mike, reach out to me. I'm Ryan at roguerisk.com, Mike at fieldrealty.com. Reach out to either one of us, whoever you feel comfortable, and just say, hey, like either, I think I'd be a good guest, or I got this friend, she does this thing, which is awesome. You should have her, super dynamic. And, this is a community show. Like, this isn't like you got to be part of some secret club or a special handshake. Like, I'm kind of rebuilding my network. You have your like, there's none of that. Like, A great example is Derek, like who we were talking about. One of Derek's people reached out, said, "Hey, Derek heard the show, would love to be on. Is it cool?" I said, "Yeah, let's do it." You know what I mean? Now I know, now I got a new contact. Now I got a new guy that I know. So that's just how it works.
Yeah, I would say, and of the people we've had on already, what is it, 6 episodes in the books, right?
6, 7, something like that. Yeah.
So, I think that there's probably a good mix of people you already knew or you kind of heard about, or maybe I had no idea about, right? That there's actually probably like a third of each of those, and what would you, of the episodes we did, just to kind of, go back to those, what's the most interesting thing that you've come away with from any of the guests, I guess, or kind of thing you were like, dude, I never even thought of something like that, or
Yeah. I don't know that I have some. I'll to answer your question the best way I can. I really enjoyed Rob Terrio. I enjoyed and I really enjoyed hearing about how he so quickly and so decisively transitioned his business to keep going. Right.
Yeah.
He even said, like, when he decided to stay open, that and Rob Terrio, for those who haven't heard the episode, it's episode 2 or 3, and he is one of the founders of the Tipsy Moose. He runs the Tipsy Moose,
Right.
and he and Ship's Pub, and he said that he got a lot of notes from some of his peers about staying open, and they were like, "We got to close, this and that." And he now is doing all kinds, and he explains it on the show. He's doing all kinds of different stuff to serve the community and to keep his business open, and keep his people employed, and not just like employed, like they're getting a check at home, furloughed, like keeping them working, keeping them active, giving them purpose, which I think I very strongly believe that that people need purpose in order to be happy. And I love that he has doing everything he can to continue to do that for his staff. That was a really inspirational episode for me. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
What about you? Where are you at?
I think a couple things come to mind as you mentioned that, and just I think it'll change once we're out of this COVID thing a little bit, and whenever we get kind of more stable with that. But I think to your point, like Maria Messier of Extender, when her and her aunt, they basically in a matter of a days went from doing all of one thing to like all of another thing. They literally, it's like they flipped a switch. This one's off, this one's on, and they did. They were doing the masks right away. And I think that stood out to me, that they were able to make that quick connection, or different manufacturing, right, with the product. And I think yesterday the scalability of Derek's talk, and kind of what that mindset, that's a challenge. I wonder. I think there's a lot of people, if you think about local business people, right? I bet you there's the largest majority of people right now who have a really good business, right? Again, overall, before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. That's what I'm like classifying the stages of business right now. Before COVID, I think you had people that had these great businesses, but they didn't know how to like roll them up, or they're getting in their own way. To hear him talking yesterday about what he does and kind of how you strategically set yourself up to scale, that spoke to me, only because I've struggled with that. Do you want to, grow and have a ton of agents, or do you want to have like the SEAL team pack that we have now, and that's kind of how we're built up? But that's always a struggle for a lot of people, I think, no matter at some point,
Yeah. I've had a lot of conversations with business owners, and in particular, since my industry is insurance, with insurance agency owners. And one of the things that you hear a lot is bigger is not better, right? I hear that a lot when I talk, so my expertise in the insurance industry tends to be the sales and marketing side, and some of the automation stuff. So when I go in and I do a keynote to an insurance group, I get a lot of people that will come up and say, "Hey, that was awesome, but you know, hey man, like bigger isn't always better. Like some of this stuff, you know, we don't even want to be doing because we don't want to be bigger.
Yeah.
And I wholly appreciate that perspective. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you know, and to me, one of the things that I'm learning from COVID is that while I agree bigger at any cost isn't better, I I I do believe that if you want sustainability and longevity in your business, that growth has to be a focus. And as much as you can handle it, diversified growth has to be a focus. Because I'll tell you, just in the insurance world, if you're a commercial lines only or a life insurance only insurance agency right now, you are you're worried, right? The agencies that are doing okay are the ones who have some personal lines, they have some commercial lines, you know, they're kind of diversified because you know, as one area of the business takes a hit, you can pile into another. And you know, I know like riches are in the niches. Like, I mean, you think about all these stupid things that talking heads say. I shouldn't say stupid, but you know, I do think that there's some real value in a consistent focus on growth, even if you quote unquote don't need it. I think it gives you the ability to sustain during really hard times.
Well, and I think that's something, again, people always struggle with. It's manageable growth versus like, you know, oh man, I want to get to from here to there in a short period of time. But then, you know, you have a disruption in the marketplace or something happens, you know, could be with your family or health or what, you know, internally in the business, doesn't matter. You know, then it's like, man, if I didn't get to this point, I wouldn't have all these problems, you know, I mean, it wouldn't be as big of a problem or a challenge or, you know, whatever. And that's, I guess that's just where you gotta make the right decisions ultimately and figure out, okay, when do I push for it and get to that point, or when do I just manage what I got, you know?
Yeah. And you know, I think this is where the conversation with Derek was really valuable to my own mindset, because what he was saying, like, because I think a lot of people say this is very legitimate. I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point where I should be enjoying the fruits of building a successful business. Why should I have to keep the lever down? Right. And I think the answer to that is so that you can get another 10 years out of the business and actually enjoy your life while still owning that business, unless you're looking to sell. And I think the only way to do that and enjoy your life, right? Because eventually you can't be working the 12, 16, 18-hour days. You know, I don't even know that coming out of this, this might be the death of the hustle culture, right? Coming out of COVID, because people have spent time at home. We're realizing how much healthier it is to see your kids and to see your family. And you know what I mean? Like, so maybe hustle culture is dead, but eventually you need to dial into that life. And the only way to do that is to be able to scale through, you know, passing delegation, right? Which is really what we talked about.
Yeah, like I was gonna interrupt you a second ago and just say it's about good people too. Having, you know, like you gotta have good people around you.
Yeah.
Because
So man, you know, I think, you know, I don't want to keep I don't want this episode to go too long. I just wanted to connect with you, connect with the audience.
yeah.
Moving forward, guys, I think one of the biggest things, and Mike and I are we're just going to keep finding good guests, keep telling the stories, keep pushing it out. You can find us on all the major podcast networks. We have the YouTube channel coming. We're packaging those up right now, and we're going to make sure that when we launch the YouTube channel that it has, you know, it has a good library on it, so you can watch back episodes, which is cool. You can listen to them. Sure. That's great. Or if you want to actually see, you know, either one or both of us interacting with the guest, we're going to have the YouTube channel. You'll be able to watch. And like I said, this is all free stuff. You know, we just want to keep connecting with great people. So send us your recommendations for guests. Please subscribe to the show. And if you have any questions, like I said, you can DM either one of us on social, or I'm Ryan at Rogue Risk. He's Mike at Field Realty. We're happy to connect with you there too.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, no, thanks for pulling me in here. And yeah, I'm excited to, you know, ramp this thing up next couple of weeks with who we got on deck.
Yeah, cool. All right, buddy. Hey, be good.
Have a good day, man.